Hey everybody, how's it going? Steve here to welcome you to Instant Classic, Episode 4. As always, we're going to be breaking down the hidden meanings in each character's Classic Mode route, 5 characters at a time. We've got another group of exciting fighters to cover in this episode, including one of the most unique routes I've seen so far. Let's get started. Our first fighter is Shulk, wielder of the Monado Blade. His route was requested often in the comments, and it's easy to see why, because it can be a bit confusing. Shulk's route, Witness the Monado's Power, is all about showcasing the various Monado arts available to him in Smash. Shulk has a total of 5 arts available: Jump, Speed, Shield, Buster, and Smash. Our first fight is against Falco on Lilac Cruise. This is a perfect opportunity to show Star Fox's mouthy sidekick how to really fly by using the jump art. Once you've outmaneuvered Falco, it's time to go to Windy Hill Zone to take on Sonic. Of all the foes you'll face, the art to use here is the most obvious, as speed is the name of the game. Next, it's time to slow things down a bit as you take on a giant King K. Rool in Jungle Japes. Heavyweight enemies make excellent targets for the Monado's Buster art, and giant heavyweights are even better. With K. Rool down for the count, our next fight sees us headed to Midgar to take on Cloud. This is a great opportunity to use the Smash art to send Cloud flying. With Cloud returned to the livestream, your next fight is against Little Mac in the boxing ring. Against Little Mac's power, the best bet here is to use Shulk's defense with the shield art. Finally, we have to do battle against Mega Man in Wily's castle. For this match, the best bet is to switch to the Buster skill to do the most damage possible in the shortest amount of time. Now that we've tested out every art, it's time to take what we've learned and put it into practice against Master Hand and Crazy Hand. There's no specific art that works against them, but if you switch at the right moments between power, speed, and defense, you should have no problem taking them down. Next up, we have the original World Warrior, Ryu. His route is called Seeking a Challenge, and it's one of the most unique in the entire game. Unlike any other route we've encountered so far, Ryu's matches work on an entirely different rule set. Rather than stock battles, Ryu participates in stamina battles and solely in one-on-one fights, making this route feel more like Smash's take on Street Fighter's arcade mode. Let's check it out. First up, Ryu takes on his eternal rival Ken at Suzaku Castle, which is Ryu's background from Street Fighter 2. After you've taken Ken down, your next fight is against Zero Suit Samus, while Chun-Li's theme plays in the background. Zero Suit Samus was a great choice to represent the most powerful woman in the world given her quickness, aerial capabilities, and powerful arsenal of kicks. The blue suit doesn't hurt the likeness either. After you Shoryuken Samus, it's on to fight Incineroar in the boxing ring while Zangief's theme plays behind the action. Incineroar is a great fit here considering its use of pro wrestling techniques, including a lariat, which is one of Zangief's trademark moves. The Red Cyclone would be proud. Next up is one of my favorite opponents in this route, a green Donkey Kong in Congo Falls, while Blanca's theme plays in the background. I didn't think this match would work as well as it does, but Congo Falls is the perfect setting for this match. After you're done going bananas for DK's Blanca cosplay, it's time to head back to the boxing ring, this time for a bout against Little Mac while Balrog's theme plays. As far as fighters go, Little Mac feels like he's the most true to the character he's attempting to portray. Now, if only they had a Las Vegas stage for this fight. Speaking of which, this next fight is a bit of a gamble, but it's one that pays off as we see Meta Knight and Aria Ferox taking on the mantle of Vega, Street Fighter II's claw-wielding boss. Meta Knight's agility and his sword Galaxia make him the perfect stand-in. With Meta Knight grounded, it's time to take on this route's final boss, Master Hand and Crazy Hand, though this time you have a partner in Ken. M. Bison's theme plays in the background during this fight, which is a subtle nod to Street Fighter Alpha's dramatic mode in which Ryu and Ken pair up to fight against M. Bison in a 2-on-1 match, which itself is a reference to 1994's Street Fighter animated film. Once Ryu and Ken have put down the rival duo, it's time to watch the credits roll. Well, for Ryu at least. Ken might need to stay just a little bit longer. Because we're jumping right into his route next. Ken's route is called Red Hot Rivalry, and in it he'll be facing against various characters that serve as rivals to some of Smash's other competitors. Starting things off, Ken heads to Palutena's temple to take on Dark Pit, Pit's rival. These matches don't have much by way of depth to them, so let's run through them as quickly as we can. After Dark Pit, Ken faces off against Star Fox's rival Wolf on Venom. From there, it's over to Frigate Orpheon to take on Samus's foe, Dark Samus. Next, Ken heads to the temple to take on Dark Link before things take a decidedly more lighthearted turn when Ken goes to Mario Brothers to fight Luigi, who I'm guessing he wants to take out that original Echo Fighter comment on. Finally, it's back to Suzaku Castle where Ken and Ryu are going to settle the score once and for all to see who is the better fighter. After all that, our last fight is against Master Hand and Crazy Hand, but unlike his rival, Ken will be going solo for this fight to prove he's surpassed Ryu once and for all, putting an end to one of old school gaming's most heated debates. Speaking of old school, our next fighter hasn't been seen since Melee, and he's back to prove he's the greatest character in his series. That's right, we're taking a look at young Link, and in his route, Hyrule Smash will be fighting only against other characters from the Legend of Zelda series. Our pint-sized hero starts the route off in a fight against none other than Princess Zelda from A Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds games at Hyrule Castle 64. Once the princess has been dispatched, it's time to head to the temple to take on Dark Young Link, which is probably a bit more heroic than that last fight. After that, your next opponent is Sheik in Gerudo Valley. I wonder what Young Link has against Princess Zelda anyway. After you take Sheik out, it's on to Wind Waker's pirate ship to take on 4 Toon Links in green, red, blue, and purple in an obvious reference to 4 swords. Once you've finished your quarrel with the quartet, it's time to head to Twilight Princess's Bridge of Eldin to take on the Ocarina of Time version of Ganondorf. Isn't he usually the last one though? Well, not this time, as our fight sees Young Link facing off against the Hero of the Wild at the Great Plateau Tower to determine who this series' greatest hero is after all. Once you finish off the Hylian champion, there's one final foe standing in your way, and of course, it's Ganon. This fight is great because it's essentially an alternate universe version of Ocarina of Time's final boss battle, showing us what would happen if Young Link never grew up and never obtained the Master Sword. With Ganon defeated, our time-traveling sword-swinging hero can go back to his daily life, but for us, we're just getting started, because our new route takes us back in time to the very beginning of Smash. Our final fighter is Jigglypuff, and its classic mode route is pretty straightforward, dubbed All Original, All 64. In it, Jigglypuff will be facing off against the rest of the original Super Smash Bros. Cast exclusively on stages that appeared in Smash 64 in a violent homage to the game that started it all. Our first match sees the pink puffball taking on my favorite Smash 64 character, Link, at the Hyrule Castle 64 stage. After that, it's over to Peach's Castle to take down Mario, and from there we head to Super Happy Tree to take down Samus and Yoshi. Next up, we're up against Kirby and Fox in Dreamland. After that, we have a one-on-one fight in Saffron City against Pikachu, the only other Pokemon on the original roster. Once Jigglypuff takes out its frustrations on the most popular pocket monster, it's over to Battlefield to take on 4 more members of the original cast: Luigi, Ness, Captain Falcon, and a doppelganger Jigglypuff. Battlefield wasn't a selectable stage in the original Super Smash Bros., but it did appear in the Fighting Polygon team battle, which this fight may be a reference to. Last but not least, in this route's boss battle, we see Jigglypuff facing off against a giant Donkey Kong in Congo Jungle in a throwback to the original's first sub-boss fight. Once you've taken down the Primate Patriarch, you've completed the route, which strangely is the only one I really wanted to see Master Hand in. Well, that wraps it up for this episode of Instant Classic. What did you think of this batch of Classic Mode routes, and who would you like to see in the next episode? Let us know in the comments, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more episodes of Instant Classic and other things gaming as well. We'll catch you next time. Bye!